Hello, everyone, and welcome as we get ready for the Human Animal Connection Summit. I'm Dr. Sue Wagner, your host, and I am thrilled to be here. Today, I have with me three of our panel speakers. And while you'll be hearing an official bio for them prior to each of their individual sessions, I'm going to ask them to tell us a little bit about themselves, who they are, so that we can get to know them better. So, Carol, let's start with you since I've known you the longest, quite a long time. So,
yeah, a long time.
please tell everyone just who you are and what you do and a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm Carol Komitor, and I founded the Healing Touch for Animals program. We celebrated last week our 27th anniversary, which is amazing to me that it has been so long. It sounds long, but it really feels like it just started yesterday. So still excited about all of the things that we get to share. I started as a vet tech years ago and worked with 13 years as what I call nurse practitioner for my veterinarian, and traveled from a satellite clinic to a central hospital, working with just his patients and trying to get him back to the office on time for his regular daily chores. So it was an interesting journey because I got to do everything from help with illness. The animals that were ill in the hospital, I was able to assist in surgery, which was a love of mine. I love that part of it. I was able to help with bandage and wound care, that kind of thing, and then go back to the office and help with the daily lab work and all of the things that we needed to do there. So it was a great way to start. I loved it because I was around the animals all the time. And then I retired from that and started to raise my family. And then I got into massage therapy and energy work with the Healing Touch program. Became one of their first instructors. I was in the first group. And so the energy piece has been around for a long time. And what I found is that I had actual words for what I was seeing, what I was feeling, what I was sensing when I was working with the animals. And I realized too that my human counterparts who were working with humans in their practices did not understand how animals worked. And so I recognized that what I was seeing since I was a child, this little dotted energy field, which I call pixelated, was a part of their energy structure. And if we come in too strong, like we sometimes come in stronger with humans when we're working with them, and that the animals work differently. So we had to come in softer. I continue to do the work. We have six different levels in our program. 4 of them lead to certification and international teachings. I have instructors in Europe as well as here in the US, and we teach in Canada as well. So love the work, and I'm really excited to share in this panel and the experts here. So thank you.
Thank you. So, Dr. Jeff, how about you next?
Well, thank you, Dr. Sue, for having me. And Carol, that was wonderful. And I wish I had as exciting of a story as Carol did, because mine is very simple. That I've been a clinical vet since 1985 and working with patients at first conventionally, and then saw more in the bigger picture, was involved in the human-animal connection, and now am helping pet parents connect with their animals while they help them heal using the methods of parasympathetic, the rest, relax, and restore reflex that we all have and share with our animals. So that's really all that I do.
No, that's quite amazing. Thank you. And so, Dr. Edward, how about you?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Edward. I'm known as the Healing Vet. I'm also the founder of the Whole Energy Body Balance Method, which is a profoundly healing neurofascial bodywork and energy healing modality for working with pets, people, and horses. We've been teaching that online since 2019. We've got about 36 certified practitioners around the world, 7 certified teachers. I started off as a very conservative country boy, as a veterinarian in 1995, became really unwell with chronic fatigue syndrome, and that pushed me into exploring a whole lot of alternative complementary things. And I think one of the things I'm coming to appreciate more and more is just how deeply humans and their animals co-regulate each other, their nervous system, their physiology, their energy systems. And it's something that since I quit my 2-day-a-week in a vet hospital job just before Christmas, I'm now back to 1 day a week in integrative, intuitive veterinary work from my home here.
Nice.
And just seeing the reflections between the animals and the humans is so profound.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And for those who don't know me, I am a veterinary neurologist, and I've loved energy medicine and holistic therapies, and through my own journal with human wellness for myself. That's how I got interested in all of this. So, since this is about connection, let's first talk about maybe a wonderful connective story that each of us has, that you know, we've all had long careers. So is there something maybe that a patient or a personal pet that has been a fun connection for you, or a real loving connection? So let's talk a little bit about that. So Carol, how about you going first?
Okay. Several years ago, this horse always comes to my mind because it was a profound experience during one of our courses in HTA. We were in Cincinnati teaching, and the owner of this prestigious dressage barn was selling her prized horse to another person because she was advancing in the dressage world and she needed a different horse. And she was selling this horse to a young woman who was also wanting to advance. And so it seemed like a perfect match. But the horse was a little depressed. The woman was sad because she was losing a horse that had taken her to such a great place. And so we used one of our bridging techniques and actually developed a protocol for handing ownership over. And with this technique, it creates a balance within the whole body. It helps with the true expression of who that soul is. And the energy then was transferred with communication after the balance took place, holding that technique called bridging and letting the horse know that he absolutely gave her the best, the owner, the best opportunity to advance in this sport that they both loved, and that they were a partnership, and that she appreciated and loved him, and then that this new young woman was going to take over his care and love him just the same, and help. He was to help her in her advancement in the dressage world. And it was like night and day with anxious, kind of super hyper, an animal that knew what was going on, and an animal who was just not settled. And by the end of the 15 minutes that we took with him, he shifted into, oh, okay, it's great, and walked right onto the trailer with as we transferred the lead rope during the session to the new owner. And this young woman led the horse right into the trailer. And they did great afterwards. I heard feedback afterwards that she was doing well and that they were having fun together. So it's, to me, I feel like, and I believe that our caring that we do, it does not just mean feeding them every day. It's the emotional caring that we also do. And what this owner, the original owner, was doing was providing stability for the horse as it went into its new environment. So I loved it because it was so dramatic too, that with this anxiousness and in front of 25, 30 people that were in the class. And I think there wasn't a dry eye.
I can imagine. I love that. One connection to the next. Yeah, true connection story. Yeah, that's incredible. And that's one thing I've learned from the energy work, that there's so much that can be going on with them, yet their hearts are always open. They do teach us so much about opening up and receiving and how to cultivate that joy. That's incredible. That's incredible. How about you, Dr. Edward? I'm sure you probably have a boatload of stories, but is there one that sticks out for you?
Yeah, I had a little stuffy called Ticker, who was the naughtiest dog who's ever lived. She was wild. She ran away chasing things all the time and never caught a thing. Come back covered in scratches, grinning like a rat trap, happy as anything. But when I first learned energy healing, I did the EMF balancing technique training many, many years ago. And when I came back home, I'd sit down just about every day at different times of the day at my desk and connect with the energy and practice. And, a minute or two later, Ticker would come up the steps and sit at my feet. I thought, wow, that's a weird coincidence. But after about 20 or 30 times, obviously it was no coincidence. So I thought that was when I really started to realize just how sensitive animals are to energy and how much they want to be near people who are connected to source and energy and healing energy and who are present and moving that energy. And I reckon this old girl here is actually Ticker, who's come back for a second time round. She's 12. She's 15 and a half and getting ready to make the great leap out of her body pretty soon, I think.
Truly amazing how they sense our energy. And, I've got a good connection story as well. And this is true. So when I was in private practice before I went to study neurology, I had a small private practice with a couple of partners. And next door to us was a business place, like people could have mailboxes and mail things, that type of thing. And one of the business owners would come and he'd always bring his dog, Sam. Well, there's this dog staring in the window with no human. And I'm like, oh, that's Sam, let him in. So he'd come in, he'd visit everybody, he'd go around back, make sure everything was okay. And then a couple of years later, I sold that practice, went to become a resident, and I'm at Ohio State, and I'm walking through the busy triage area, which was always hustling and bustling, and I see Sam was a chow, and I see this chow on a gurney, and I heard something about it hit by a car, and I'm seeing students and doctor all around him. He looked pretty stable, so I'm continuing my fast pace. And I see this out of the corner of my eye, I see a tail start to wag. And I stopped dead in the middle of the treatment room and went, Sam? And his tail is doing the, talk about a connection. It didn't matter that it was a couple years. It was a completely different scenario. Mm-hmm. He recognized me. And I will never forget that. He was a very special patient. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
now it sounds like
I know.
Sounds like Sam has the happiness gene. I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you see the 60 Minutes where they talked about the happiness gene in dogs and people?
No.
Yeah.
There was an evolutionary biologist talking about why dogs became domesticated, and he was talking about wolves. and how the friendliest wolves are the most likely to have integrated into human society. And they were studying the difference between, wolf puppies and puppy puppies. And there are differences, and they found differences, and they mapped it to a chromosome, and they called it the happiness gene. And they found that there's a disease in humans where we're amazingly happy and friendly and outgoing, and they have a deletion in that gene, which basically shows that there's a connection between the dog happiness and the people happiness.
Yeah, that study, that's incredible. The whole genetic piece of it is amazing. So I do want, because the Human Animal Connection Summit is really about us helping our pet parents be healthier and happier, and then that, we all know, translates into their animal companions being healthy and happier. And so we really want to honor our pet parents and take care of them, and I'm hoping they're going to love this summit. So how about, are there any self-care tips, something that really works well for you that you might want to share with our pet parents, to kind of get them in the mood of, ooh, I'm going to be pampered, I'm going to learn something, and it's all going to help my animal companion. So Carol, how about you? I know you take care of yourself energetically. What kind of tips can you give people?
Well, I think we can allow our animals to open our hearts bigger, because they work out of that unconditional love all the time, even if they have gone through their traumas and big things that are horrifying to us. But that unconditional love is what drives them, and they love connection. And even with our feral animals or the wild animals, they need that connection somewhere, just as we need connection as human beings. And I think having animals around, we all know of the research of we live longer if we have animals. And that energy, it's all about their energy and how they surround us with their unconditional love, and to just take that in. And so to make sure that when we're connecting with our animals, when we're caring for them, that we really are not doing the robot thing of feeding and watering and cleaning up after them and all of that, but really take an intentional placement of that food on the ground, in their food bowl, and as we offer it to them, and take an intentional piece as we pet them and love them and play with them and take them for a walk and exercise. And what that does is it feeds us back to us to help us in our self-care. And I saw that with my cats over the years, and various ones for various things, and how when I was in grief, for instance, I know that I had a really close friend that contacted cancer, and as he left my house for the last time on a visit, he and his wife were there and connected with that cat really well, both of them. And as he left, he knew there was something going on, and he turned to me differently and came to me for comfort, and also offered me comfort because of that situation. Yeah. So, and I know that my last kitty, Patch, helped me with my father when he was living in my home for home hospice. And I asked him to be a caregiver for him because my dad loved him. He didn't really pet him much, but he'd talk to him and they'd interact that way. And when he came for home hospice, Patch stayed within the family room and kitchen where my dad was in a hospital bed in the family room, and Patch and I slept on the couch to be caregivers during the night with for my dad. And Patch did not leave the family room or kitchen unless he was going to the laundry room for the cat box.
Mhm.
And so he was there under his bed, on the side of his bed, on the chair arm, on the sofa near his bed. And he was really offering that heart energy for my dad's transition. So, and I've seen the animals do that for other animals in the households. And, but to absorb that too for the people. So pay attention to what your animals are conveying to you energetically.
Yeah.
And yeah, they'll help you heal your heart.
Absolutely. I love the story. It was many years ago. I'm sure you've all heard it about the cat that was at the nursing home and would know if somebody was transitioning. I think his
Yeah.
name was Oscar. He would,
Mhm.
and I just cracked up because it was all the intellectuals trying to figure out why he would go to that person's bedside. You know, oh, maybe the blanket was warmer, or maybe this or that. And I'm just like, dudes, he's creating this wonderful energy space for that person's transition. So we see that all the time, but it is quite amusing when others are trying to figure it out.
Well, and they absorb what's going on with us, so they know what is going on. It's not just that they're helping. It's like they know how we're feeling. And
Yes, exactly.
yeah, all
Exactly.
of us promote that, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jeff, how about you? Any good self-care tips? I know happiness is one of your biggest self-cares, but yeah, and maybe that's it, and that's enough. I had an aunt that lived to be like late 90s, and I'm not advocating this, folks. She smoked for 75 years. I'm not saying pick up the cigarette. Yet I am saying that she was the happiest member of our entire lineage. I can tell you, she
Oh.
at reunions, it's like somebody better find Aunt Sophie. Where is she? Oh, she's still at the reunion at the bar talking to somebody. So I get the happiness thing, but how about you, Dr. Jeff?
Most of us have music from our past that just will transport us back to when we were younger and happier and vital and just kind of dance around with your pet. And your energy field often will transmit to your animal and make you happier as well. If you want to come to laughter yoga every day, it's free online.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, yeah. How about you, Dr. Edward? What's your self-care tip?
Look, I think smiling is a good one. A whole face smile. You got to engage your eyes. That changes your whole state of being and your physiology really profoundly. I mean, if you can't burst out laughing in the middle of a situation, you can always just quietly smile. But I think the real core of my self-care practice is somatic awareness, bringing awareness into my body, being in my body. Now, that's sometimes not the most comfortable thing. And I think the other key thing that I've discovered in my healing journey is that you really have to build a capacity for what I call healthy discomfort. Because when you come into your body, then you got to feel what you're feeling, and you got to feel all of it rather than just some of it. So if you're feeling sad, let yourself feel sad. And I think the other thing that with self-care that I've noticed is that if you look at your pets, and if you really realize that when you start to care for yourself better, they benefit immensely, you can use your love for your pets as a motivator for you to do the hard things that are necessary for self-care. Because I think the other really key thing that I've learned about self-care is that it's nearly all hard now, easy later, especially when it comes to resistance exercise and getting up 2 hours earlier than I'd like to every morning of my work. So that I do my morning fitness and qigong and meditation and all that sort of thing. I seldom want to do that, but I really enjoy the benefits of it.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else you all want to add before we finish up here? Any last words that you want to say? Thank you, everybody, for being here. But anything else anybody wants to add?
I think that the human-animal connection is just such a profoundly beautiful and powerful connection between us and our animals. And we affect our animals very strongly. our animals affect us very strongly. I get a lot of my clients who start beating themselves up and being guilty because they feel like they're a bad influence on their pets.
Mhm.
So if you've ever done that, a really strong invitation from me would be to forgive yourself right now. And
Yeah.
really, forgiving yourself is as simple as doing that. The only thing that makes it hard is your lack of willingness. So if you can't forgive yourself straight away, then my invitation is to be willing to forgive yourself, because that's the first step towards that. But I honestly believe the human-animal bond is one of the most beautiful, powerful things that is available in our world in terms of connection, community. Touch is another way to really amplify the human-animal connection, human-animal bond. Whenever we interact with touch with our animals, particularly if we slow down the hand movement of our touch to be really meditative and present, then all of our nervous systems start to co-regulate and relax and regulate into this rest, digest, rejuvenation state of parasympathetic activation. So the more we do that, the more we interact in these healthy ways with our pets, the happier everyone in the family gets and the healthier everyone in the family gets. But another thing is that it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling with your pets. If you're sad, if you've got an old pet and you get a bad diagnosis, don't try to bottle it up, because the more you suppress, everything you suppress and all your unconscious trauma and all those sort of things, your pets feel that more in a lot of ways than the conscious stuff. And that is another reason why it's so important for you to work with yourself and to heal your life and to go deep into your trauma and actually do something about it, because everything you suppress, hide, and deny impacts your pets more strongly than anything that you don't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's all about those feelings, and our participants are going to get a free gift when they register, and it's got a lot of stories in it about, some are funny, some are poignant like this, some help us to get into those emotions, whether they're grief emotions or fun emotions. So I hope they'll enjoy a lot of these animal stories. And anybody else, Dr. Jeff or Carol, any last thoughts that you want to add? Again, I appreciate everybody being here.
Carol, do you
Thank
want to
you.
say anything? Because I wanted to bring up one thing before we go, but Carol, please.
I think I'm good. I do recognize the mirror that the animals show us but it's our reflection in that mirror that they typically show us, like you teach, Sue. And to me, that has been a real big recognition as far as the energy is concerned, and that they're there to love us unconditionally all the time. And so as they do that, they can also help us to heal. And as then we can let go of our energetic baggage and create a increased frequency and vibration so that we can better help everyone else that we are engaged with. So I love the bond that we are talking about here, and how that self-care is huge and vital, and working with that. And self-care, I do that in the mornings early, and with various things from crystals to my meditation and music and whatever it might be, but also throughout the day, that in setting different intentions for whatever I'm interacting, whomever I'm interacting with, and whatever I'm doing. So we become energetic beings to a different level, I think, when we engage in work like this. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Wonderful.
I just want to share my thanks as well for this so important topic, because as Dr. Edwards shared, animals are the center of our self-care. If you're an animal person, your dog, your cat, your horse, they are portals into our becoming human beings again. We become these human doings. We always have to do, but our animals are our guardians of being, and they will help us become more human beings. And my last tip is get Eckhart's little book, Guardians of Being. It's a little cartoon book talking about how our animals are portals back to the being that we are, that we deserve to be, the universal consciousness wants us to be. So thank you, Dr. Sue. Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful. What a way to end. Thank you to each of you, and everybody out there watching. Please enjoy the summit. This is our gift to you for being the most wonderful pet parents, and I hope you enjoy it. So goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.